Hunters in a fit of excitement were chasing a wolf, but they did not even imagine what would stand you. In the excitement of the hunt, people often forget its true purpose. Initially, hunting was a means of survival, meant solely for gathering food, not for sport or entertainment. Yet today, for many, it has become more of a leisurely hobby than a necessary task. Fortunately, nature has a way of reminding those who forget, as this story so vividly proves. One day, 4 men set out on a hunting trip, a tradition they followed every season. Having grown up in rural areas surrounded by wild forests, they were skilled marksmen, their shots rarely missing their targets. But for them, hunting wasn't about necessity, it was about the thrill of the sport. They never gave much thought to what they aimed at, focusing instead on the excitement of the chase. As soon as they arrived, they wasted no time setting up their tents, ready for the adventure ahead. As the men unpacked their food, preparing for a quick snack before the hunt, an eerie sensation crept over them. They were being watched. Scanning their surroundings, they caught sight of movement in the nearby bushes. Instinctively, they grabbed their guns and rushed toward the source of the disturbance. But instead of a threat, they found themselves face to face with an unexpected visitor. A tiny, curious wolf cub. Drawn by the scent of food, the wolf cub had wandered into the camp, hoping to find something to eat. But the men had no intention of feeding it. Instead, they were consumed by the thrill of the hunt. Seizing the moment as the cub paused, one of them raised his gun and fired. To his companion's surprise, the little wolf reacted in an instant, leaping aside and bolting into the woods before the bullet could find its mark. The men continued the chase. When the cub stopped again to catch its breath, they shot at it, and already 4 hunters were aiming. It seemed that the wolf had no chance, but it dodged again as if enchanted. This happened several times, and when the hunters were finally exhausted, they decided to abandon this futile pursuit and return to camp. However, due to their excitement, they could not find their way back for a long time. About 3 hours later, the men stumbled upon a nearly ruined hut. Seeing it, they even thought about staying there until morning and then continuing their search for their tents at dawn. But unexpectedly, the door of the hut swung open and a gray-haired old man stepped out onto the crooked porch. Behind him stood the very wolf cub they had been chasing. The old man sternly asked the surprised hunters what they had been shooting at the little cub. In response, they became insolent and said it was none of his business whom they hunted. They even threatened the old man with violence and told him to mind his own business. The elderly man did not argue. He only shook his head with regret and went back inside. As soon as he closed the door behind him, something inexplicable began to happen around them. Suddenly, everything darkened. And although there had been no clouds in the sky before, a heavy downpour started. In a moment, it turned into large hail that beat down leaves and broke branches on the trees. The men did not know where to go. They wanted to hide in the hut, but the wind, which had also arisen suddenly from nowhere, prevented them from even approaching the porch. To avoid falling, the hunters clung to the trees. The hurricane reached such a force that it could lift people into the air. Feeling that they could not hold on much longer, the men began to scream. They called out for the old man's help, but amidst the deafening noise, their voices were swallowed, reduced to nothing more than faint whispers. Then, just as suddenly as it had begun, everything fell silent. The hunters found themselves sprawled on the ground, their rifles mysteriously gone, as if taken by an unseen force. As they scrambled to their feet and took in their surroundings, a deep, chilling fear settled over them. Something beyond their understanding had just occurred. The strange hut that had stood before them only moments ago had vanished as if it had been nothing more than a mirage. But mirages rarely appear to multiple people at once, especially in perfect detail. Overcome with panic, the hunters turned and fled, their fear outweighing their curiosity. Whatever they had witnessed shook them to the core, for not one of them ever picked up a rifle to hunt again. This story left behind more questions than answers. The identity of the mysterious old man and the cause of the sudden fierce storm remains unknown. It's also a mystery why an experienced marksman missed a stationary target, even though they all fired at once. Yet, one thing is sure, nature found a way to humble the reckless hunters, delivering a powerful lesson about the consequences of targeting defenseless creatures. What an incredible story! If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, don't forget to hit that like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so please leave a comment below. See you in the next video.